Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. And I'll put on my crown. I'm King Arthur, and I wish you a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That's Queen Victoria wishing you Happy New Year. This month is January, of course, and we are at, as you recall, if you've listened to my previous recording, we are at the hotel or inn. And it's a 19th century inn, and it's described by Lord Byron, who said that a New Year's celebration is like traveling in a carriage and stopping at an inn to be retooled and rest and whatnot. And so we're at the inn. You remember that you were welcomed by a number of friends who are so happy that you made it. You know people, and I know a number of people who didn't make it. And so you are all together. You're in reasonable health. You're articulate, and you're breathing, and you have friends. You know, the 18th century literary dictator, Dr. Johnson, commented that no one has enough friends. It's ironic because he had a host of friends, including King George III and John Wesley, and any number of notables in the kingdom of Great Britain. Well, anyway, you have friends, and I hope you feel that they are rejoicing at your success. I told you need to hug yourself, remember? And the scripture sure says you shall love your neighbor as yourself. That means you love yourself. And just to remind you, I mentioned that John Steinbeck talks about Ed Ricketts, who as a boy didn't like himself until his friends taught him to like himself. And your friends love you and are concerned, and you have impact on their lives, whatever. Well, now we remember that Queen Victoria welcomed us to the banquet. We have a hot drink and probably a porterhouse steak or something like that, and we're meeting and talking with our friends and being thankful that I hope that we made it, and relaxing and whatnot. And I said that the road is not easy. And I said, I never promised, I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden. And if you've ever traveled, you know that travel is not easy. Even plush travels, fancy travels. I mean, why, you could be on an airplane and the door blow out. Who knows? They could have a virus on the ship, or the ship could be delayed, or any number of things could happen. And on your trip, we're going to look at your trip as your sort of pretend you're a carriage. You're going to examine the carriage when you have caught your breath to check your body out. You know, in the late Middle Ages, there was more than one play, a morality play, in which the body talks to the soul. Well, I don't know about that, but we can talk to our body and look at our body. And our body, maybe listen to our body. We need to treat our body well. Actually, the scripture warns against not treating it well. It's a gift you have. And I mentioned that it is priceless. It's the highest creation of the universe, the human body. Oh, wonder. And I mentioned that if I repeat myself, that's okay. Remember, I told my students what you have to write about is not climbing Mount Everest or something, but you're a human being. Oh, wonderful, oh, tragic responsibility. And we need to take care of our body. Notice that I am preaching at myself, too. I've been there, done that, have the weaknesses, the trip and the rough trip and whatnot. Well, I missed a flight last summer, just to talk briefly about it. And I got in a hotel, and they forgot to pick me up in the morning to catch my new flight. Well, you don't want to hear all of that. But travel and living is not an easy thing. And I think we can live victoriously, but it's never know what might come at us. Now, I think I'm in good health. I just made a doctor's appointment. By the way, you need an annual one, I think. And though I'm in good health, about time the doctor looked me over. And you need to, you need to treat your body well. And I need to. One of my resolutions is try to eat less sugar. I eat too much sugar. And I think that's my main dietary sin. But I am going to start eating more blueberries. You know, you get these hints about good health. Well, let's listen to them. Anyway, but some things to avoid, and you know this, but we treat our bodies very ill at times. You know, your body is fighting against all kinds of things you do to it to keep itself healthy. And certainly concerned with diet, we'll go back to that. But what about needlessly risky behavior, like Evel Knievel? Didn't he try to ride his car over a dozen cars or some absurd thing? Don't put yourself in a barrel and go over Niagara Falls, please, this year. On the other hand, I don't think we ought to stay in our rooms and play tiddlywinks. Life has certain risks that are part of living. But I don't think we need to do dangerous things like playing Russian roulette. I hope none of you are playing Russian roulette. Leave that to the Russians, please. And but we do so risky behavior. For me, when my eyes started going bad, driving at night. Boy, I drove after I should not have been driving. I sort of kind of hit myself for that. And anyway, well, we all know that overeating, and it's not, sometimes there are biological reasons why we overeat. We're not getting enough good nutrition, for example. And emotionally, we resort to eating, and certainly emotionally, people resort to drugs. And I know coffee is a drug, but I think it's a good one. But I noticed when I was at the care facility, because I broke my hip, the strongest pills they gave me were Tylenol. I survived. But anyway, alcohol, if those who can do it in moderation, maybe, but the trouble is with alcohol, if you get in a bad time, it's easy to get addicted, isn't it? 10% of Americans, at least, are addicts. So we need to be careful. And other hard drugs, God help us. This guy that was a local said to me, you want to take some red pills? No, I said, I don't want to take any red pills. I got enough troubles as is without taking red pills. Well, anyhow, to destroy the body, and you need to stop it with help. Maybe you need to get medical help or psychological help or both. Maybe some spiritual help. I don't know. Something. And so we better treat our bodies right. And I'm preaching it myself. Art, stop eating so much sugar. Well, and undue risks. With my visual handicap, I ought to make sure as much as I can that I get non-stop flights, because I can't handle when I miss a flight. Very difficult. Anyhow, so treat your body with honor. And by the way, I think treat your body as something beautiful. And beauty comes with good health. I mean, you can paint the barn if you need to, but what is beautiful is the healthy, vigorous body. And along that way, I've already preached on exercise. Especially when you get older, you need to exercise all the time. I mean, almost all the time. Well, I've already talked about that, but I mean it. And if you're lying in bed and sick or whatever, exercise in bed constantly. You can sit down and do all kinds of exercises. I've already told you about that. But anyway, exercise. Sleep, for goodness sake, don't cut back on sleep. You know, I find once in a while that I'm just tired all day long. I just sleep on and off all day. My body tells me it's tired. Okay. We don't want to sleep too much, of course. All these little homespun advice, my little drip dry philosophy. I may be smiling, but I mean it. I'm supposed to smile more. That's kind of an artificial smile. So honor your body and let its natural beauty. There is no healthy body that is not beautiful. And as old, I have seen beautiful old people. Age does not mean that you have to look ugly or get artificial means to look beautiful. Well, anyway, I have a friend and she has a sister, and they both contribute to a smile outfit for children who are born with cleft palates. Isn't that? And they don't give each other presents. They spend that money to help children born with cleft palates around the world. Isn't that great? And I've already told you, I'm going to get off on this later. You can't help other people without some of that glory reflect on yourself. Why, those people bring Meals on Wheels? Well, of course, I thank them and, for what they do, but there's sort of a lilt to their bringing the tray and setting it on the table and whatnot. They're doing something positive and good. Well, I have a friend who's an Uber driver, and I've noticed a couple things about it. If he sees a light on the dashboard, he doesn't put tape over it, black tape. Well, the people he rides would turn him in. But some of us put black tape on warning lights, don't we? Just put the little black tape on that light, that rascal light. And another thing, he listens to that car with very careful ears. He'll say to me when I'm riding with him, "Do you hear that sound?" Well, half the time I don't hear anything. "Hey, oh, something's in my left wheel, something." Well, we get warning signs, don't we? Your carriage, which is you, your body. And sometimes we let the tires get low and haven't checked the oil and whatever. And we're careless with the body. And I'm guilty. I mean, I need to be more careful of this body that is given us. Oh, wonderful thing. And I'm going to talk a lot about the spirit, but a little more about the body. Do you have a wheel that's a little loose? Maybe in the mind. I had a nephew, and he was driving away from Kansas City where he'd been at school. And my mother was in the car behind his car, and the wheel was a little wobbly. Well, they were concerned, the car behind him, but the driver, my nephew, he just said, well, let it go. I mean, and all of a sudden the wheel came rolling off into the ditch and the car came, oh, my mother was praying, oh God, oh God. No one was hurt, thank God. But anyway, but things that are wrong in your body and you put it off and put it off. That's why I think a full physical every year is a good idea. And I got one for January 26th. Just got the appointment. So listening carefully to the body and taking sensible precautions and letting your natural beauty, your God-given beauty, your body, your healthy body, which is the most beautiful thing perhaps in the universe. You don't have to have some kind of a movie star image or something. Just a healthy body, your eyes glistening, and you're just, the vigor and whatever. Well, that's all common sense, isn't it? But sometimes we need to listen to common sense and take care of the body. Well, we need to take care of the mind. I think not only do we need to be exercising the body constantly, but we need to be exercising the mind constantly. We need to be thinking, and of course that's advice you've heard. If you stop learning, you may be a candidate for Alzheimer's, and I'm not sure the connection there. But you need to be learning and good things. Now, maybe you're interested in skydiving or something. Well, find out about it. Learn more about it. Whatever you're interested in. I think that, of course, St. Paul says, whatever is pure, whatever is of good report, think on these things. And those who dwell on the negative, you're just like eating poison. Well, I'll tell you what's drinking poison is anger. And sometimes I'm pretty too much critical. I hit myself. And hatred, that which is unforgiven. I'll tell you, it's like drinking poison. It's like drinking poison. If you have hatred and anger, that doesn't mean that you haven't been hurt. I'm going to talk a lot about that. Your carriage may have gotten some dents, all right. May have been some rocks thrown at it. We hurt one another, don't we? And I like the little song I used to hear on the radio, if I have wounded any soul today, dear God, forgive. And I know I have wounded people, unintentionally, I do believe. But your mind needs to be learning. And I think there's no better thing to do than to read great, good literature. And the world is full of it. And learn constantly. I've had students say to me, well, if I were at an Ivy League college, I would really get a good education. So I get out my pointer finger. I say, look at that building over there. What's that building? It's a library. It has virtually all the wisdom of the world in it. And now, with the internet and with media, we're there's all kinds of information at our hands. What excuse have we for not growing? I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said, well, you've had a lot of good experiences in the past. I said, yes, but I'm learning, desperately learning. I'm out to learn. And I have Alexa, and I have the Library of Congress gives discs, and I have the radio and TV and friends and whatnot. You ought to be learning. And certainly to get out of the rut and learn new things. Maybe you need to learn a foreign language. I was going to learn Russian. I kind of fell by the wayside the last, since I have a Russian friend. But anyway, you need to especially be alert and whatnot. For example, you ought to be a good citizen. How can you be a good citizen if you're listening to propaganda all the time? Or listening to nothing? Are you aware of what propaganda is on the right or left or whatever? And the old saying, you got 2 ears, 1 nose, and 1 mouth. That's the important thing. 1 mouth. 2 ears. Listen. Well, keeping the mind healthy and learning and exercising it. I have a friend, for Christmas, he got a kit to put a watch together. Well, I'm not interested in that, but I think that's great. Some people work on crossword puzzles and whatnot. Well, did you get out and look at the old carriage today? Let's look at it, see the dents and see what's wrong with it, and get ready for another year. Well, have a happy new year.